Have you ever noticed a strange paradox? That the most generous souls, the ones who are always there for everyone, are often the ones quietly falling apart behind the scenes. Why is it that the person whose shoulder is a refuge for everyone else often finds themselves on the verge of collapse in their own solitude? It's a familiar image, the image of a giving spirit pouring themselves out endlessly, yet their own cup is never refilled. Picture it. There's always one person at the party, moving through the crowd, making sure everyone's needs are met, refilling empty glasses, keeping the conversation alive. They are the invisible pillar holding the entire structure up. But here's the powerful contrast. While their energy is focused entirely outward, almost no one ever stops to ask, "How are you? Is your own glass full?" And now, let's be honest, that person is you, isn't it? You're the one who answers the 2 a.m. phone call from a friend in crisis, even when you have a career-defining meeting in the morning. You're the one who takes the blame for a colleague's mistake just to keep the peace. You're the one who has sacrificed your own dreams to meet the expectations of your family. You have learned to bury your own needs so deep within you, wearing the calm, available mask that says, "I'm fine, it's no problem." You've probably been told that this is your greatest virtue, that it's the sign of a big heart. But I am here to tell you an uncomfortable yet ultimately liberating truth. This is not a virtue. It is a dangerous psychological pattern. It is a survival strategy that has long passed its expiration date, and now it is poisoning you from within. This extreme niceness is destroying you. Decades ago, a Swiss psychiatrist and sage, a man often called a physician of the soul, observed this devastating pattern in his patients. His name was Carl Gustav Jung. Jung was deeply concerned for those who wore the mask of goodness at the expense of their true self. He knew that behind this giving facade, a resentful and neglected shadow was growing. He wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This unconscious pattern, this insatiable need to please others, is what Jung recognized as a dark danger. He had a specific, chilling warning for this type of person, the one who is so generous on the surface, yet so fragile underneath. A warning about the perils of the overly available personality. So where does this compulsion to be available truly come from? Why is this mask of niceness so familiar to us, and at times so dangerously attractive and exploitable to others? And what exactly was Jung's dark warning? To find the answer, we must begin a journey into the depths of our own psyche. A journey that may be painful, but at its end, freedom is waiting. The answer to the question, where does this come from, is hidden deep in our life stories. This compulsion isn't a conscious choice, it's old programming, a script we learned, often in childhood, to be loved, to be safe, to not be abandoned. I must be useful. I must place the needs of others before my own. And this is precisely where Carl Jung's dark warning comes into focus. He argued that this constant availability is not just an act of kindness, it is an act of self-erasure. With every yes you speak while your soul is screaming no, you delete a piece of yourself. You create a psychological vacuum, and the nature of the psyche abhors a vacuum. This void unconsciously draws others to you, not necessarily bad people, but people seeking to fill their own voids. Your availability becomes a magnet for the unmet needs of everyone around you. And here is the shocking truth we must be willing to face. This niceness of yours is not always pure. It is a tool to control your environment and to guarantee that you will be liked. You are, in effect, engaging in a form of emotional bribery to ensure others won't leave you or be upset with you. You have built a beautiful, comfortable prison out of your own self-sacrifice,
and you have handed the keys to every single person in your life. To understand this mechanism on a deeper level, Carl Jung introduces one of his most essential concepts, the persona. The persona is the social mask we wear to be accepted by the world, the mask of the diligent employee, the good child, the loyal friend. For you, the persona is the ever-helpful, always available, good person. The mask itself isn't bad, we all need one. But the tragedy occurs when you mistake the mask for your actual face. You forget that behind it, a real human being exists, with needs, anger, boundaries, and personal desires. The parts of you that conflict with this mask are exiled to a place Jung called the shadow. Your no, your anger, your need for rest, your authentic desires, they are all locked away in this shadow. This exile turns your daily life into a minefield of self-betrayal. The examples are so tangible they're painful. It's when your colleague asks you to work on their project over the weekend and you say, "Of course, no problem," with a faint smile while every cell in your body is screaming in protest. It's when a friend calls for the 10th time with the same draining drama and you listen for hours, feeling your life force drip away, and yet you still answer their next call. It's when you're in an argument and you know you're right, but you fall silent and even apologize just to avoid the tension. It's lending money you can't afford to a relative and then feeling ashamed and guilty for even thinking of asking it back, as if you're the one doing something wrong. Each of these is a small act of treason against yourself. And these small treasons accumulate, leading to the ultimate cost. And that cost isn't just burnout or stress. The ultimate cost is psychic death, the complete loss of self. It's waking up one morning and realizing you no longer know what food you like, what movies you enjoy, or what your real dreams are. You have become a collection of other people's expectations, an echo, not a voice, a ghost haunting the halls of your own life. This brings us to a critical crossroads. Now that we have dissected the anatomy of this self-betrayal and seen its ultimate cost, the fundamental question is this: if this niceness of yours, this mask, is the root of the problem, then what is the solution? Is the answer to become its opposite, a cruel and selfish person? Or is there a third way, a new mental model that Jung proposes for us?
Carl Jung's answer to this terrifying dilemma between self-destructive goodness and heartless selfishness is neither. The third path is far deeper, more courageous, and infinitely more powerful. He calls this path individuation. The word may sound complex, but its meaning is liberating. Individuation means becoming a true individual, a being that is indivisible. It means you are no longer a fragmented person with your persona pulling in one direction and your repressed shadow pulling in another. Individuation means courageously embracing your own wholeness. It means welcoming both the light and the dark, the heartfelt yes and the powerful boundary-setting no. The old mental model encouraged you to look outward for your value. Your compass was in someone else's hands. But in Jung's new model, the compass returns to you. Your guiding question is no longer, "What must I do to be liked?" Instead, it becomes, "What is true for me in this moment?" And this new mental model asks one key, deeply personal question of you, a question that might feel frightening, but whose answer is the very beginning of your freedom. Are you willing to risk being disliked in order to be real? Take a moment with that. If your answer is even a trembling maybe, then you are ready to challenge the mistaken behaviors of the past. Behaviors that, under this new model, are nothing but a squandering of your life force and a betrayal of yourself. Behaviors like over-explaining your no. You have the right to decline without providing a legal brief of justifications.
No is a complete sentence. Apologizing for having needs or a different opinion. You are not an inconvenience for existing. You don't owe anyone an apology for taking up space or for having desires that differ from theirs. Avoiding conflict at any cost. You've learned to buy peace with the currency of self-suppression, but that isn't peace. It's a temporary ceasefire that is fueling a civil war inside of you. Saying, "I don't mind," when you absolutely do. This phrase is the sweet poison of the overly available personality. With every utterance, you make yourself invisible. To break free from these patterns, Jung gives us a golden rule. Memorize this sentence. Write it down. Let it be etched into your mind. It's the same one you saw at the beginning of this video, but now it carries a profound new weight. I would rather be whole than good. This means I would rather live my entire, authentic truth, even if that truth includes parts that other people don't label as good. And now I need to raise the stakes for you. This isn't just a lifestyle choice. It is a psychological necessity for your survival. That shadow we spoke of, all that repressed anger, resentment, and need, it doesn't just disappear. It festers in the basement of your psyche. It builds pressure like a steam boiler with no release valve. If you do not choose this new path, that shadow will one day erupt uncontrollably, either as a sudden explosion of rage over something trivial that shocks everyone, including you, or as a mysterious psychosomatic illness that doctors can't explain, or as an internal collapse we call severe depression and anxiety. When you don't consciously face your darkness, it will control your life unconsciously and destructively. But even knowing all this, breaking the pattern is strangely difficult. It feels as if an invisible force keeps pulling us back. This leads us to dig one layer deeper and ask a crucial investigative question. What are the hidden psychological games, both in our own minds and in our relationships with others, that keep us locked in this prison of niceness and prevent us from moving towards wholeness? What is the manipulator's playbook?
The answer is this. The game has been rigged against you from the start. And the most painful truth of all is that you have, unconsciously, been helping your opponents write the rules. There is an unwritten agreement at play, a contract between the manipulator's playbook on their side and the shadow's contract on yours. Let's decode them both. The number one tool in the playbook of anyone who exploits others is a concept Jung called projection. Projection is a psychological defense mechanism. A person denies their own undesirable qualities, their incompetence, their neediness, their laziness, their darkness, and, like a movie projector, casts them onto someone else's screen. And the overly available personality provides the biggest, widest, most inviting screen imaginable. This mechanism creates specific archetypes in your life. See which of these feels familiar. The eternal victim. This is the friend or family member whose life is a never-ending series of crises. They project their own helplessness and inability to manage their life onto you, casting you in the role of the perpetual savior. You feel guilty if you don't help them, when in reality, you are simply enabling their cycle of dependency. The charming delegator. This is the colleague or boss who projects their own incompetence or laziness onto you, with phrases like, "Nobody can do this as well as you can." They manipulate you by praising your self-sacrificing persona, getting you to do the work they are unwilling or unable to do themselves. The emotional blackmailer. This is the partner or family member who projects their own profound insecurity onto you. Every attempt you make at independence,
Every boundary you try to set is framed as a cruel betrayal of them. They masterfully make you feel guilty for the healthiest of behaviors. And here, we must face the most ruthless truth of this entire game. Are you ready? These people do not love the real you. They love your function. They are not in a relationship with you. They are in a relationship with your availability. They love that you fill their psychological voids, cover for their weaknesses, and carry the responsibility for their lives. Their connection is with your persona, your mask, not with the real soul that is withering away in the shadow. As long as you continue to play this role, the game will go on. So how do you stop this hellish game? The game-breaking move is not a dramatic explosion of anger or a long explanatory speech. It is far simpler, and yet infinitely more powerful. It is the sacred pause. It is pattern interruption. It means breaking the expected rhythm of the game. When the eternal victim calls with their new crisis, instead of offering an immediate solution, you pause and say, "That sounds so difficult. I'm sure you'll find a way through it." When the charming delegator approaches with a new task, instead of an immediate yes, you pause and say, "Let me check my schedule and I'll get back to you." This pause, this simple act of non-reaction, creates a crack in their script. They expect a quick yes to complete their projection, but the pause turns off the projector and reflects their need or weakness back to themselves. In that moment, you reclaim your power. You cease to be a screen and become a person again. This move, this sacred pause, looks like doing nothing, but on the inside, it changes everything. This brings us to the true power of Jung's philosophical solution. The new question is this: what is the hidden power of this non-reaction? How can this silence, this strategic withdrawal, become your most powerful weapon in a world that constantly demands you react and be available?
The answer lies in a beautiful contradiction. In a world that screams at you to be more, do more, respond faster, be available, your most powerful and radical move is a conscious withdrawal. Your greatest power is found in silence. But let's redefine this silence. This is not the silence of fear, weakness, or having nothing to say. This is not passive. It is a fortified presence. This non-reaction is a declaration of sovereignty over your own psychological territory. You are no longer a public playground for other people's projections. You are a private kingdom with clear, defined borders. Your silence is not an empty space. It is a contained space where the psychic energy you've been spending to manage everyone else's emotions finally comes back home to nourish you. So what is the mechanism behind this power from Jung's perspective? How does it actually work? In that sacred pause we introduced, something magical happens. For the first time, instead of automatically reacting from your persona, the good person mask, you give your shadow a chance to speak. In those few seconds of silence, a question finally has room to breathe in your mind. Wait, how do I actually feel about this? What do I truly want? The moment you ask that question, you have begun the process of alchemy. You are turning the heavy lead of repressed resentment, anger, and need into the shining gold of authority, healthy boundaries, and authenticity. You are no longer afraid of your shadow. You are using its energy as fuel to live as your true self. This is the very definition of the alchemy of the shadow. Let's look at a concrete example. Imagine you're at a family gathering and a relative who has mastered the passive-aggressive comment says in front of others,
Oh, look who's being quiet, as usual, lost in their own little world. In the past, you might have forced a smile and ignored it, your persona's reaction, or seethed with silent anger all night. But now, you know the sacred pause. You slowly turn, make direct, calm, not angry, eye contact, and for a few seconds, you say nothing. Maybe you give a slight, knowing nod, and then simply turn to someone else and change the topic. In that brief silence, you have broken the game. You refuse to catch the ball of negative energy they threw at you. You let it hang in the air, and now the discomfort of their own comment belongs entirely to them. Without saying a single word, you have declared, "I am not playing this game." Now, we must be honest. This path has a cost. When you are no longer a playground for others, they will be uncomfortable. They might call you selfish, cold, or different than you used to be. You may lose some so-called friends. But this is not a cost. It is a benefit. It is a filtration system. You are not building walls around yourself. You are installing a powerful filter at the entrance to your life. The discomfort of others is the price of your freedom. And the people who leave were never connected to the real you anyway. They were connected to your function. Their departure is a necessary cleansing to make room for authentic connection. To remember this inner power, repeat this mantra to yourself. Let it sink into your bones. My silence is not empty. It is full of my unsaid no's. This philosophy is beautiful, and this power is desirable. But the question remains, how do we implement this alchemy in our daily lives? What are the first concrete practical steps to build this powerful silence and reclaim our energy? How do we turn the sacred pause into a deep-rooted habit?
Awareness without action is a beautiful delusion. Knowledge that isn't applied is the heaviest burden a soul can carry. We've understood the why. Now is the sacred time for how. Let's define this new behavior precisely to avoid any misunderstanding. Our goal is not to become selfish or uncaring. Our goal is to practice the conscious management of our psychic energy. Your energy is your most valuable asset, more valuable than your time. And until today, you have been giving it away in a clearance sale. Starting now, you become the CEO of this asset. You decide where and on whom it is spent. This is active boundary setting. This doesn't begin with a single dramatic decision. It begins with a series of small, concrete actions. We can call them micro-rebellions that disrupt your old habits. Starting today, choose just one of these and put it into practice. The 5-second rule. Before answering any request, big or small, just pause for 5 full seconds. Breathe. This 5 seconds is the space between the persona's automatic reaction and your authentic self's conscious response. Build this muscle of non-reactivity. The power phrase. Add this to your verbal toolkit. Let me think about that and I'll get back to you. It is polite, respectful, and a powerful shield that reclaims control. It buys you time to consult with your true self. The no without a story. Practice saying no without attaching a long list of justifications. Unfortunately, that's not going to work for me. Full stop. You do not need to invent complex narratives to validate your right to say no. The daily energy audit. At the end of each day, take 2 minutes to ask yourself, which conversation or interaction today gave me energy, and which one drained me? This practice will make you acutely aware of the energy vampires in your life. These small actions will gradually lead you to embrace a golden rule, A rule that might be difficult to hear at first, but repeating it will set you free. You are not responsible for managing another person's emotional reaction to your healthy boundaries. Read that again. Let it sink in. Your job is not to make sure nobody gets upset. Your job is to make sure you don't betray yourself. If your boundary causes someone discomfort, that discomfort belongs to them, not you. And yes, as we've said, this path can feel lonely at first. But Jung reminds us that this loneliness is different from the devastating loneliness of the past. This is sacred solitude. This is the necessary empty space that a seed needs to germinate. You cannot hear the voice of your true self in the constant noise of other people's expectations. This solitude is not a punishment. It is a prerequisite for your rebirth. So how do you know if you're making progress? What is your litmus test? It's simple. Your metric for success is this. Notice who becomes uncomfortable, angry, or confused by the new you. The less available but more authentic you. These people are your greatest teachers. They are unwittingly giving you a treasure map, showing you just how dependent they were on your function, not on yourself. Anyone who is disturbed by your new boundaries is telling you, I was addicted to the boundaryless version of you. And that is the best reason of all to continue on this path. So when this painful cleansing begins to subside and the dust settles, when the wrong people have filtered themselves out of your life, what is waiting for us on the other side of this sacred solitude? Who is born from the ashes of the old good person? And what is the ultimate reward for this difficult journey?
On the other side of this sacred solitude, what awaits you is silence. But it is not an empty, dead silence. It is a living silence, a state of pure presence where, for the first time in years, you can finally hear your own quiet, authentic voice. You no longer need to scream to be heard over the noise of other people's needs. From the ashes of the good person who was always burning out for others, a phoenix is born, the whole person, the one who has learned how to offer warmth to others while still tending to their own inner flame. And what is the ultimate reward for this difficult journey? The reward is not a destination you arrive at. The reward is this new state of being. Your reward is the constant buzzing anxiety of, are they happy with me? Being replaced by a deep-rooted calm, a calm that comes from knowing you are, finally, loyal to yourself. Your reward is the desperate need for external validation being replaced by the sovereign power to generate worth from within. You no longer require applause to feel good about yourself. Your reward is the toxic, repressed resentment that poisoned your system, being replaced by a clean, authentic energy that you can now invest in building a life you truly love. This is where the final identity shift occurs, the great shift that Jung dedicated his life to understanding. You move from being a passive pawn in other people's games to a powerful player in your own life. In other words, you transform from a reactor to life's events into the creator of your inner world. And in this transformation, you will discover the final liberating paradox, a truth that may seem bittersweet at first, but holds the sweet taste of freedom. By being less available to everyone, you become truly and deeply available to the right people, and most importantly, to yourself. The value of your presence skyrockets because it is no longer a public utility. Your yes finally has meaning because your no is finally real. You become the person whose presence has weight, the one whose silence is more meaningful than the loud chatter of many, the one who, when they finally speak, others listen because they know your words come from a place of truth, not from a place of fear or a need to please. You become rare, and anything rare is precious. You become unforgettable, not for what you did for others, but for who you authentically are. This journey does not end when this video fades to black. It is a daily choice, a daily commitment to yourself. The question is not if you are ready to begin this journey. The question is, are you ready to take the first conscious step today? If you are ready to break free from the prison of being nice and reclaim sovereignty over your own soul, then declare your commitment to yourself and to the thousands of others on this path with you. In the comments below, write, "I choose my wholeness." By writing this, you are signing a new contract with yourself. It is our honor to be on this journey with you. If this conversation was valuable to you, subscribe to our channel to become part of this community, and share this video with someone you know who needs to hear this message. Remember, you were born to be whole, not just to be good.